Hello, Radiant One, and a very big and a very warm welcome to Mastery, the show and podcast for brilliant spiritual beings just like you, having a human experience, ready to ignite the mastery inherent in you, as well as grow and expand from within, and wanting to lead with love in work, business, and life. Designed to activate the mastery already within you, here we merge the worlds of seen and unseen, magic and miracles with the mundane and the practical, spirituality with strategy, the energetic with the physical, and business, work, and life with a whole lot of love and soul. I am your host, spiritual business coach, and radical love rebel, Maria Serafina, and it is my deep honor, my great pleasure, and joy to share this episode with you. I serve leaders, executives, and company owners like you wanting to learn and be supported as you navigate leading with heart and soul. I do that through the Spiritual Leadership Academy, the Spiritual MBA, and one-on-one spiritual business coaching full of intuition and energetic alignment. You can find out more about everything on my website, mariaserafina.com. Having been called to this show and podcast, it is my strong guess that mastery is already inherent within you. If you'd like to expand and amplify that mastery, download the Mastery Activation I've created for you. Originally released within my paid membership, The Elevation, I've now made it available to all. Get it at mariaserafina.com/MA or click the link in the description to receive it. Remember, if you enjoy Mastery, make sure you subscribe, like, comment, share, or leave a review to amplify the energy and love being shared in these transmissions so it can reach more and more gorgeous radiant beings like you. Today I am joined by the delightful soul that is Isabelle Laurés. For over 15 years, Isabelle's mission has revolved around elevating individuals and businesses, empowering them to achieve their aspirations in both their careers and relationships, all while maintaining a profound focus on attaining harmony between the mind and body. She adeptly navigates her clients toward establishing a stronger bond with their inner spirits, equipping them with tools to heed their internal compass. Having walked with angels from early childhood, it is just a delight to hear Isabelle share her spiritual journey and how she weaves spirituality into work and everyday life. Here is our sacred conversation. Isabelle, thank you so much for saying yes to my invitation to join me in Sacred Conversation. I have been, I don't want to say giddy, but I've been excited to sit with you. It feels very sacred in some way. I don't know what's going to come through, but I am, like I said, I'm very, very happy that you said yes to coming on Mastery. Would you start out by just letting us know, just giving just a brief overview of who you are and what you do, and then we'll dive into the conversation.
Of course. Yeah. I'm Isabelle, and I'm also very, very happy to be here with you. And I'm a spiritual coach, and I use spirituality in businesses and with people. So I kind of, connect people to the higher self and help them open up spiritually in their everyday work. But also, if you're creating a business, then I help people have a really clear intuition and clear vision of how this company is supposed to look like and how the feelings are going, like how you're going to feel about it. Yeah. Yeah. So I connect people spiritually, but especially when in their work. Yeah.
Which is yes, because I'm the same. I love spirituality and I love the holistic approach. So I call it weaving the world. So I'm like, yes. So how did your journey with spirituality start? When did it start? How did it start? What happened? Tell us everything.
Well, I've always been connected to my angels and spiritual guides. So I've always known that they were there and I could see them and feel them. And I got a lot of messages when I was a child. And growing up, I thought everyone had this connection because it's so subtle and it's so beautiful. So it's something that happens on the inside. And you don't really second guess it when it's naturally there. You feel it so strongly. But I never thought that I was going to be a spiritual coach. I started like I had my I think I was in high school. I remember one of my friends in high school, she was like, I can feel that sometimes a man is going through you. And she said, well, I'm not spiritual and I don't believe in anything. So it's super strange that I can feel like something is going through you and you speak in a certain way that is very true and very sacred. And I can really feel a different energy going through you. And that was the first time where I could feel that other people could feel it.
Mm.
Um, and then I talked to her about it and I said, well, yeah, I know. And somebody is around me all the time and helping me and supporting me. And I believe it's my spiritual guide. But I never talked to my parents about it. Although I was very connected and I could see them walking around in our home and everything, it was always something that just happened inside of me. And then I got a feeling that I should go to business school because I thought, okay, if I go to business school, then I know more about business and I need to know more about business because I was very I think I was logical thinking, but at the same time I had this inner life that was very rich. So I
Mm.
thought it would be good for me to do something more logical and and I wanted to make my parents happy, of course. And and then I studied for 1 year at Copenhagen Business School and I felt such a emptiness inside. And I felt like, okay, I can't do this forever. And this is not where I belong. And there was too much, emptiness inside of me. And I felt such a pain inside, really. And I began writing down what kind of emotions did I want in my job because I really thought that my job and my life purpose was very important. And I felt something was was pulling inside of me, but I didn't know where to or how. I just felt like this is not right.
Mm.
Um, so I wrote down that I wanted to, be my own boss. And I was not a bossy, like I was not the type of person who was my own boss at that time. I was like very, the good girl that did everything right.
Yes.
So I was writing that and I was really surprised. And I wrote down that I wanted to do something that was natural to me and where I loved working with people and people loved what I did and I really helped them in a deep way. And I wanted to develop relationships with the people that I would work with in a very deep way and know them forever and support them and really be there for them.
Mm.
And I wanted to do something that came natural to me. I remember I wrote that down as well. And then I also wrote down that I really wanted to work um, from my home, and I really wanted to be in a beautiful surrounding with tea and flowers, and I wanted a dog with me, and I've always had dogs, and I also have Fleur with me
Yes.
right now. She's
Yes.
right here.
Yes.
Um, so I was very specific, and I was just writing down all of the things that I really wanted, and then I was like, okay, I put it aside, and then I stopped. No, I transferred to law school instead. And
Okay.
then I continued doing law for 3 years and I loved it. I really loved law school because it was much more deep. And I loved, you know, reading about law because there are so many, it's so specific. And it
Yes.
actually, I think it actually reminds me of the spiritual laws. So it really made sense, but
Yes.
I didn't get it. And then I got married, and my husband, he was like, well, I think that I should get you a small room where you can help people. Because I already had clients. People came to me because
Yeah.
I took when I did Copenhagen Business School, I did a like a healing course. So I had
Mm.
clients coming, but I thought it was just like a side like a side thing that I was doing.
Yes.
But
Yes.
people, they were really happy about it, and I got messages from them to them from the spirit guides, but I didn't even know that it was the spirit guides. I was not aware that it came from that source. It
Yeah.
was just so natural for me to do.
Yeah.
And then my ex-husband, he was like, or my former husband, he was like, this is what you need to do.
Mm.
And he found a really beautiful space for me. And then I started having clients, and the clients told their clients about me. And then suddenly I had like a full-time job. And at the same time, I was still in law school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so and I think I was like 21 or 22 when I started.
Mm.
And then I had this horrible dream that my father, he was going to die. And at this time I was 24, I think. I dreamt that I was at his funeral and he had died from something from the heart. And then I remember waking up as I woke up from that dream, I was writing the speech for his funeral and I found all of the music that needed to be there and I planned the funeral completely in 1 hour and did the speech. And then I went into the kitchen and told my husband about it and he said, "Yeah, I'm sorry, but every time you have those premonitions, it's actually true. So you need to take it seriously. You can't just
Yeah.
override it or." And then then I think I contacted a psychologist because I thought maybe it's something, maybe it's not a premonition, maybe it's just something about me being a grown up now and all of that. And she agreed with me that was probably it. But I still had this feeling that it was very true.
Yeah.
And I was not scared about it. I was just like I had a great acceptance of it.
Yeah.
And then I contacted a healer and she said, yeah, she had the same feeling that 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 something would happen to his heart.
Yeah.
Um and and I was like, this can't be true because he's so young and he's so happy and it didn't make sense to me at all. And he was extremely happy at that time because my mom, he had convinced her to stop working so she could be a stay-at-home mom. We were all grown up, so
Yes.
she didn't need it to be a stay-at-home mom, but that was his biggest dream,
Yeah.
to have her stay at home and
Yeah.
just be there when he came home from work and all of that.
Yeah.
Um, and then a year after, yeah, I think a year after my dream, he died of a heart attack. And after that, I felt like I couldn't continue the way that I lived, and I
Mm.
couldn't continue in law school because I think I was a little bit, I think it was a great shock for me that this actually happened. And
Yeah.
I'd also talked to my dad about my dream and all of that. So we had the last year was very beautiful,
Yeah.
but I was, in a way, I was like, I didn't take my gift seriously before that.
Mm.
And then I started having clients and I stopped law school, and I thought I would come back and do my master's, but or the last 2 years, I don't know what you call that, the candidate, yeah. But I
Oh,
never came back. I just continued working with
yeah.
clients, yeah. So that was how it happened for me. It was like
Yeah.
I couldn't really do anything else. It was like something took over inside of me, and it was not comfortable. It was not like, oh yes, this feels so good. It felt good working with people.
Yeah.
I love my clients and I really feel that there's a spiritual and karmic connection with the people that contact me. I really feel like I know them and I know their souls. So
Yeah.
it's the most beautiful work that I've ever done in
Yeah.
my life, and I'm so happy about it. And I'm so grateful that
Yeah.
someone like that it, yeah, that God will use me for that. So in
Yes.
that way, it's amazing. But that transition was very hard for me because I thought that I was going to be a lawyer and I thought that I would have a normal life,
Yeah.
and a more secure life where I didn't have to question myself and open up and all of that. It's much easier to, you know, to work with something that is more mental. I'm a Gemini, so mental is
Oh,
really, really
yes.
nice for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just had to open up and use the
Yeah.
gifts. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that I think that part of the journey of being, a spiritual being having a human experience is what I call it, is is having the full range of experience. So that means, having the discomfort and the comfort, the satisfaction and the pleasure and the sadness and the sorrow and the grief. And because we get to experience, because we live in a world of duality right now, even though we know oneness, we live in a world of duality. And so we have this we have to have the full range of experience. And I love that you say that it wasn't comfortable, because it real like that's so important to highlight, that just because something is not comfortable, and doesn't mean it's not for you. It doesn't mean that you're not
Mm,
called towards it. Oftentimes it actually is. It's just a matter of you have to expand into it, is what I see. I'm curious because you mentioned in terms of your childhood, so for you it sounds like it was just completely like you were just it wasn't even like you weren't brought up in a spiritual household, and it doesn't sound like it was also not repressed or anything. It was simply
no.
just a matter of you flourishing within that. When did you realize that was not how the world everyone else saw?
Mm, I think for me, I ne that realization I never get because I meet so many people, and I'm always
Yeah,
talking about how I see the world, and I've never experienced anyone being negative about it. I think because it's so natural.
yeah,
I think everyone knows that there is something greater than themselves.
yes, yes,
So I've never had that experience really,
yeah,
which
yeah,
sounds but sometimes I remember when I was younger, I would become very, very, I would feel very lonely. Except like, for example, in Copenhagen Business School, I felt such an emptiness
yeah.
for me, like I couldn't relate.
But was that
While at
your
law school,
emptiness?
I could really.
Was that
Hmm?
your emptiness, or was it theirs? Because the sense I'm getting is that it's not just your emptiness. It feels like it's also their, like it feels like also their emptiness in a way. Did you pick up on their emptiness potentially?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
That's what I think. That I think
yeah,
it was too cold for me. While
yeah,
law school had a deeper sense of
yeah,
history and meaning,
yes,
and
yes,
I felt there were roots in something else. And
yes,
I felt, law school was very beautiful, and I
yeah,
had the most, like, I met the most beautiful friends that I still
yeah,
see, and they were very open spiritually.
yes,
And they all came to me. Like, a lot of my friends, they had sessions with me at law
yeah,
school because we just talked about it, and so there was a sense of a deeper purpose in a way at law
yeah,
school, and I don't know why that is, but
yeah,
that emptiness that I felt at Copenhagen Business School was also maybe me not feeling like this is the way to go, because
yeah,
it
yeah,
was not really, it was not working for anything.
yeah,
It was not, there was not like something greater good in it. I didn't feel a higher sense
yes, yes,
of spirit coming through me, while at law school I could feel that the teachers and the books and everything, it was grounded in something deeper and a better society, and
yeah,
regulating,
yeah,
people's higher mind, and
yes,
helping people understand what is right and what is wrong. And
absolutely.
that is actually what I work with now, so it makes sense.
Yeah,
And then I also had like a feeling that sometimes, if I'm like, and I still feel that now, but if I meet people that are in some kind of darkness, of who's not connected to the spirit, then I do feel, I don't feel insecure, but I feel an emptiness, or I feel like I get scared in a way.
yeah, yeah,
Or if I'm in a area that is very hardcore, like sometimes there are areas in the world and also in Copenhagen that I don't go because
yeah,
I feel like it's too rough on my energies, if
yes,
that makes sense.
yes.
Yeah.
No, that makes,
And that's been difficult. I remember I had a boyfriend after my ex-husband, and he was like, "You are neurotic." If we went into a restaurant and I didn't like the vibe there, or I didn't like, the energy, then I would walk out, and
yeah,
he was so annoyed with me. And I understand that because I couldn't put into words what it was. But now I have friends that feel the same way,
yeah,
and so we just, feel the vibe and feel where we should
100%.
go, so we're not stuck on our plans. We'll be
100%.
open to good experiences.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I've just
Mhm.
had that experience of there's a coffee shop that I go to, and the original owner sold it to a new owner. And the original owner, he was tired. He was like he was tired and he was ready to go. And the new owner is just full of energy. And to see the difference in the place, like from when the previous owner to now, is completely different. And I think because of the way that I maintain my energy and on a daily basis, I was able to still be there because I like really good coffee, and that's the only place that there is. So that's the reason I think I was able to go there. But to see it now flourishing and see people just flocking back, because people feel energy whether they know it or not. They may attribute
Yeah.
it to something else. They like, and it's energy is ingrained in our language. Like, there's a dark cloud hanging over them, or oh, I have a gut feeling. Like it's completely ingrained. So yes, that makes total sense. And furthermore, what I love is like you being so um I don't know if it's not even in integrity, but it's like, no, I will not quote unquote sacrifice my energy for this, or I will not sacrifice might be the wrong word,
Mm.
but it's like, I will not put myself in this situation because it doesn't, the energy is just wrong or off or doesn't feel right. So yeah, that makes total sense. I'm really curious because as you were talking about your now ex-husband, um, it sounded to me like he was like sort of one of those earth angels that are there to support us or guide us. It sounded like he was like, hey, we need a room for you. We would like, how did that, like, because you were not the one who's thought, oh, maybe I need my own room to do this in.
No, no, no. I think he was annoyed because I had people coming to our home, and I
Oh,
remember because I'm an early bird, so I wake up at 5 o'clock. So I would have clients at 6 o'clock, and then he would be like, "Okay, where should I go? I can't be in the apartment when there are people coming."
oh,
And
okay.
in the beginning, I was very like I was very
Okay.
I thought it was so exciting with
Yeah.
people with a lot of problems. So it was a very like no,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is so interesting. How can you be in this
Yeah.
kind of problem
Yeah.
with yourself,
Yeah.
you know? So I think he also felt like it was a little bit, too much. So,
Yeah.
but he was an earth angel helping me, see what I needed to do because I
Yes.
think I was very satisfied with my life. I was like, okay, now
Yeah.
we live in this apartment in
Yeah.
Copenhagen by King's Garden. Everything is perfect. I don't need any more.
No.
Like I was just very satisfied with the
Yeah.
life, and he wanted to expand,
Yeah.
so in that way he was really important to me,
Yeah.
and I am very grateful for
Yeah.
what he did for
That's right.
me. Yeah.
And I also wanted to mention, so because I had Lisa Fraley on the Mastery as well. There is an episode with, she is actually she is also a lawyer, and she now works as like with holistic businesses and help
Hmm.
holistic businesses. And she had many of the same things that you share about law. She shared as well in terms of the depth and the roots and the importance and also how they're reflected into spirituality as well. Like that's I just want to highlight that if people are more curious about that, go check that out, that other episode. In terms of where, because you mentioned the discomfort of transitioning out of law and into like the full spiritual work, will you tell us more about that?
Yeah, for me it was very strange. It was like I was living two lives. So
Hmm.
I had my spiritual life, and I had my life where I thought, okay, I should just continue reading my books, going to my exams. And
Yeah.
I actually remember one time I was going to an exam, and my dad was driving me,
Yeah.
and I think I was about to throw up, and maybe I actually did throw up. And he said, you don't have to do this, because I was so nervous about my grades. Because
Oh,
if you don't have good grades, then you don't
yeah.
get to
Yeah.
like then you don't become a lawyer. Then
Yeah. Yeah.
no places want you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I really have to do well. And I prayed and I prayed and I prayed. And he said, well, you don't have to do this. And I said, I know I don't have to do this, but I'll do it anyway because I really want to do it. And
Yeah.
then everything switched
Yeah.
inside of me. So
Yeah.
it was coming from my spirit. And I could really feel at that exam that I had my spirit guides going through me and
Yeah.
helping me, do better really, because
Yeah.
they were helping me become more mentally clear,
Yes.
and they would show me where to look and what to write, and they would
Yes.
really give
Yes.
me advice from the inside.
Yes. Yes.
So in that way I was very fortunate that I was not pushed into anything. Like I always had the choice, and he always wanted me to feel good about myself, and
Mm.
he wanted me to do, what is right for me, and he could see that I was not completely happy.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he could see that I was not, if it was just that exam, but he would just always expand in that way and open my mind up that there could be other possibilities.
Yes.
So in that way, it was uncomfortable, but it was only uncomfortable because I tried to plan, and I tried to, I tried to make a plan for myself, and that really doesn't work when you work with spirituality, because everything comes from God and from the
Yes.
source. So you can't really know how things are going to happen, but you know it's going to happen.
Yes.
So in that way, it's always been uncomfortable when I've been micromanaging myself,
Yes.
or when I've been trying to figure things out. Like if I use my mind too much,
Yes.
then it doesn't really work so
Exactly.
well. Then I
Yes.
get a little bit
Yes.
anxious. So I've learned not to do that too much. I've just,
Yeah.
I just contact God and my spiritual guides, and then I ask them to guide
Yeah.
me.
Yes.
And that's our higher self. And I think that my discomfort came from myself, really. It didn't really come from others. For me, it was definitely myself.
Yes.
And
I'm
it's
not.
always been like that. Like I've always been,
Yes.
like I always wanted to make, like, do really good, but sometimes you can't really do that because you can't prepare. You just have to be present. And I think that I was taught that every time I felt uncomfortable. So I think that was also why it was difficult for me to
Yes.
lose him, because then I had to be my own guide,
Yes.
and really I didn't have someone else, telling me this is okay and you don't have to worry. I had to do that myself. So I had to, like, become a grown up in that way,
Yeah.
and be very gentle with myself. And
Yes.
gentleness and openness in the heart has really, like, that's really what brought me to my dream career, really.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm laughing because I have, like, yes, I call myself a recovering control freak because uh, surrender is and patience is one of my life's lessons, because just as you said, the the whenever I try to plan, write out all of my to-do lists, which I used to do, things don't go the way that I'd like to. The more I surrender, the more I'd be like, yes, just, let go and let God, the more things are just like clicking into place, and not necessarily in the way that I wanted them to, but in the
Mm.
way that is the most nourishing, the most satisfying, the most pleasurable, the most yum 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 way, instead of, does that make sense? Like it's
It really does.
if I
Yeah.
try that's why I'm sort of like the whole quote unquote manifestation, la la la. I'm like, I'm not trying to manifest anything. I'm trying to be in alignment with God and my essence and my soul. And through that, expand and grow. And that way, things are clicking into place in ways that I didn't imagine. That's how
Exactly.
yeah. Um, Hold on, there was a question. What was the question? There's something about, oh, no. It's probably gonna come back. I thought I had a question about, in terms of it was in terms of your father. I wonder, so, oh yes, one of the things I want to highlight in terms of what you said as well was when your guides was coming through. Because the first time my guides came through, or the first time I heard I was clairaudient, it was had to do with a website. I was working on I used to do virtual assistants. I used to do like work, and I'm very technical, and I love like nerding websites and stuff. That's my guilty pleasures. And I was trying to figure out something. There was something that I couldn't find a solution to. And I kept asking it in my head. And then all of a sudden, I heard a voice say, "Oh, you." And also, while I was hearing this, I had a like a in a screen that showed me. So you go here, you click there, you go down there, and then you click there. And I was like, what is happening?
Exactly. Yeah.
And I love how you shared, like, with in terms of your paper, how you were guided, and then you just write this and you go here. And how has your journey been with, because for me, it's today, it's like, whatever. I don't even think about it. Today, it's just like, whenever I'm guided, I'm like, I just do that. I don't think about it anymore. But I remember in the beginning, it was very like, really? And this was something that I'd never learned. It wasn't something that I knew to do. They were literally showing me, and I'm like, I didn't know that spirit could be like technical WordPress site thing. Like, so how was that for you in terms of, I suppose, leaning into that?
Well, if I don't do it, then I feel neurotic.
Yes.
Like that, then I feel like, oh no, what's going on? So
Yeah.
I'm in constant contact with my
Yes.
angels and my
Yes.
spiritual guides.
Yes.
And if I'm not in contact with them, then I don't feel grounded, and then I don't feel like the world is real. Like I
Yes.
feel like if I go into like if it's only about me, then I
Yes.
don't know anything, and then I
Yes.
can't see anything, and I can't
Yes.
really
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
anything. Like I'm really
Yeah.
connected to my angels, and for me, it's the most natural thing, and I really don't know what I would do without them. Like honestly, I don't know what kind of life I would have because it's so much. It's like it's part of me,
Yes.
and they are just
Yeah.
there all the time, and
Yeah.
all of the things that they have done for me, it's very, very beautiful and makes me feel
Yeah.
very safe and happy, and it
Yeah.
makes me very, very I feel like I belong on earth because I actually have them around me.
Wow.
And I can also see that my friends, like and my whole network, I know a lot of people. And when I have my angels go through me, then it's like their angels also come and then something happens in the room and
Yeah.
it's a whole nother energy. So I
Yes.
really don't know what I would do without them, I must say. Yeah.
And what do you find in your journey with spirituality? What do you find has been the biggest challenge for you?
My challenge is not
No,
about
not
my
just
work.
both
Yep.
your challenge. First, I would love to hear your challenge, but also what you
Mm.
see others' challenges are. But
Ah, okay, okay. Yeah.
yeah,
For me, it's been for me, my challenge myself has been um my personal life that I've always waited for partner. I've always like I really want to be in a relationship.
yeah,
And sometimes I can't be in a relationship if the vibe is not right. Like I can't stay in something that is not completely right. Like I really have to find a person who connects to my soul and we have this soul connection.
yeah,
Otherwise, it's taking my energy in a certain way. So
yeah,
that's been a challenge for me. But I'm thinking that someday I will meet someone where it's
yeah,
connected and where it's good. But that's something that I've spent a lot of you know thought about and it's been hard for me to let go. Now I've let go
yeah,
of that need, but when I was younger, being in a younger body and you
yeah,
want to have children and you want to
yeah,
you have these hormones that are also um running your mind in a way. That's been a challenge for me,
yeah,
and that now I'm 38. Now it's much better because it's not as there's not as much pressure on me. Like I feel like, okay, whatever happens in my personal life, it's going to
yeah,
be good.
yeah,
And if things happen or if they don't happen, that's okay.
yeah,
But that's really been a challenge. And I've been very confused about that because
yeah,
that's been my biggest, not a sorrow, but a thing that I've been worried about
yeah,
that
yeah,
I thought, okay, I need to have a partner at this
yeah,
age, or I need
yeah,
to have children at this
yeah,
age.
yeah,
That's been something that I've been spending a lot of time thinking about, and I'm really regret it now because I could have spent that energy on something else. But I think it's also because when you're in a body that is so ready for
yes,
to become a mother and all of
that
that,
big meeting, yeah,
then then it's hard for the spirit. Like I couldn't connect the spirit and the body in that way, in
yes,
that sense. That was frustrating for me,
yes,
and
yeah,
that's something that um I haven't really um like at that time I haven't really come to terms with that when I was going through that.
yeah,
So that's one thing
yeah,
where my spirituality couldn't really take
yeah.
over. I couldn't
So,
surrender. I can do that now, but through
yeah,
my 20s and
yes.
30s, like I couldn't really do that. Um,
I just want to say thank you for sharing that because I think it's really important that to show that just because we're quote unquote spiritual AF, there's still challenges, there's still things that are yeah, uncomfortable or yeah, challenging. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's been a challenge, but now I actually feel good about, like,
Yeah.
now it's okay
Yeah.
for me not to have
Yeah. Yeah.
children, and it's okay not for like to have like a normal life like
Yeah.
my friends have, for example. That's okay.
Yeah.
But for my clients, it's often there's so many challenges because I also work a lot with children. So I help my clients with connecting to the children's
Mm,
souls
mm,
and higher selves,
mm,
which is very beautiful because when, as a parent, when you understand your child from a spiritual perspective and
mm,
when you feel the soul of that child, then a lot of things comes into play,
mm.
and you just feel like you're very protected. And I love, you know, I love having parents coming and helping them with that. And it's so easy. It's like when they start to pray
Yeah.
for their children, then a lot of good things happen. So it's the most easy and most beautiful thing I've experienced. But some of the challenges that people come with, it's often their companies and how to build a career that they really, really love, because spirituality and career has always been separate.
Yes.
And and you know, using your abilities in a positive way. I know I have a client who's a boss in a big company, and she had to wait longer than some of the male people to become,
Yes.
to become bosses in that
Yeah.
company. And she would always use her spirit, and she would always, do the right thing.
Yeah.
But she was not, it took her a while to get where she is now.
Yeah.
And I think, for her to be very true to herself, and authentic, and that people really love her for who she is and how she
The,
came into power
yeah.
and how she got this good job. Like,
Yeah.
that's really beautiful. And I can see that that's something that people come with a lot, that they feel like it's hard to be aligned with their own spirit when they're in a company that is not their own. But
Yes.
when you build your own company, of course, it's much easier because then you do it aligned with who you are. And
Yes.
if you connect to your spirit, then things often go really, really well, and it happens very fast usually.
Yeah.
So, so that's what people come with, and also past lives, um, past lives blockages is also
Yeah.
something people come with a lot. People
Yeah.
are very open now, and they're
Yes.
like, this problem, I don't need to have it. It's not really present anymore, and I don't need it.
Yeah.
So people are extremely open to resolving whatever they're in.
Yes.
And I think just 4 or 5 years ago, it was different. I think because there's so many books now and it's something we talk about and so many podcasts,
Yeah.
then people don't stay stuck for that long. So
No.
if people have a problem, then they want to have it solved
Yeah. And find
immediately
a
because they
solution.
don't need it anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. And how do you so how do you use because and I know because I'm the same as you, like there is no, for me, there is no distinguishing between my spiritual self and myself. Like I don't have the clear, I don't see it like angels, like I don't have the vision or the same way, but there's a constant communication that's happening for me all the time, anywhere. It doesn't, so when people ask you, and I know I asked you about how it was, it's like, I don't know anything different. It's always there. How do you use your spirituality or spirituality in your work, like in your own work, like your practices, like do you have daily practices or meditations or prayers, or like do you have certain rituals? Is there like what do you how do you in your
But because I pray a lot and I love praying, so I'm always connected to the angels, and I always ask them to help me with everything, really.
yeah,
So when I wake up in the morning, I wake up in prayer. It's like somebody is praying through me. It sounds a little bit strange, but I sleep and then I wake up and then I just start praying. Or so I wake up like praying for, all of my clients and all of the people that I'm in contact with. And I pray that, that the day will go well and that the angels will be there and send healing out to everybody. And I I cleanse my home every day. I ask for the angels to put angels lights up every day in my home and cleanse the energy.
Yeah.
And then I just get up and go for a walk with my dog. And sometimes, like I've had a very strict routine because I felt like I had to do some physical work. So I would
Mm,
go to reformer
yeah.
Pilates every day because that really helps me come into the body.
Yes.
Because I sometimes like I feel like when you work with spirit all the time, then it's really important to go for a walk and be in nature or
Yeah.
do some physical work.
Yes.
Um, and
Yes.
then I also use like I love cleaning my place and I love, doing things where I have to be present at with something practical.
Yes.
I really like that.
Yes. Yes.
And then I'm
Most
just
people
very
miss Most
yeah,
people miss that. Like people seem to think that, spirituality, that's like something that you sit down on a pillow or you pray but it's also just you can make anything mundane, you can make magical and
exactly.
spiritual, like washing the dishes, like you said, cleaning your house is like, that is a spiritual practice of making sure. And I just realized I don't, because I do my energy work like on a daily basis, but the thing about the home I hadn't thought about. So that's something that I'm writing down on my list. Yeah. Sorry, I cut you off.
Exactly.
Yes.
No, 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 that's okay.
Yeah.
And then I also write because I'm writing books. So then I channel the
Yeah.
books through
Yeah.
me, and that's actually a very beautiful way of connecting to spirit because you
Yes.
can really feel how spirit is talking through you, and
Yes.
that's really amazing. And then of course I have clients every day, a lot on the phone because I have a lot from I have it out in America and Sweden and
Yeah.
other places.
Yeah.
So I talk a lot on the phone, and when I talk on the phone and help my clients, then I ask my spirit to go through me and the spiritual guides to go through me and heal the people
Mm,
that I speak with. And I
mm,
also do that with if I'm on the phone with friends or
mm,
family, then I do the same. I really ask God to go through me and send
mm,
healing out and talk through me. So the
mm.
conversation becomes meaningful and that they're healing energy. So it's just not
Yeah.
talk for the talk. Because as I said, I'm a Gemini, so I speak a lot and I love to talk to a lot of people. So so it could
Yeah.
like I could spend my whole day, talking and walking around Copenhagen and just like not doing anything.
Yeah.
So I try to channel what I do with a spiritual essence.
Yes.
So yeah, that's what I do. And then of course I also do other things. Like then I forgive patterns. If I have a pattern that I see in myself, or if I have something from past life, then I go in and ask the angels to
Yeah.
release it, and so I can learn from it.
Yeah.
Um, so I do a lot of different things, but it's not the same. Like, of course, praying is always the same routine, and
Yeah.
but it's not something that I have a specific time that I do. It just happens
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, prayer is communication. It's like it's communication with God in a sense, right?
Mm.
I'm reminded previously you also said it that there's a quote in a Course in Miracles. There's a quote that reads like, someone no one has ever lived who's not experienced something or something. I can't remember the full quote, but it's essentially, no matter how quote unquote non-spiritual you consider yourself to be, we've all experienced something, like just something. Um, I'm mindful of the time. Is there any, oh, yes. Oh, I just want to share, because you're Danish, I'm Danish. I just want to mention for those who are listening who are Danish, Isabelle has a podcast named Your Forbindelse. I will link to that in the notes, so that, and also link to your website and all of that, and your Instagram. Is there anything that's coming up for you? Anything you want to share? Any final words that you want to share in terms of our transmission?
Well, I want to tell all of the listeners that if if you start praying for your angels to go through you and for your spirit to guide you, then you can
Mm.
open up for a even better life. So I
Mm.
think that's my purpose, and that's what I want to share. That it's really like you can really open up in a very beautiful way
Yeah.
if you start living from your spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Thank you. As I
Thank
said,
you.
you will be able to find, I will link to go to the show notes. I'll link to Isabelle in the show notes. And thank you so much for having been part of this sacred conversation. It was a joy to sit with you. Have a
Thank
wonderful day.
you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
That is what I had for you in today's episode of Mastery with Maria Serafina. I hope it served you well. For all the deeds and details, click the link in the description and help me spread the love of this transmission by sharing it with a friend or on social media, or leave me a comment or review. Have a wonderful day. God bless.